Ricmotech GT Challenge, broadcasted Mondays live on Apex Racing TV. Visit ExtremeMotorsports99.com for series and schedule details. Broadcast coverage next.
We head into the second to last round of the Ricmotech GT Challenge presented by Proforma Elite Texas Graphics. With championship battles heating up and Sebring International Raceway playing host to the 7th round of this season, it's sure to bring some incredible action. Tyler Maxson in the commentary booth and on production alongside us tonight for the 75-minute race. Drivers are currently in qualifying here for this round, and with how close these championships are right now, Austin, the points are crucial for those drivers in those very close championship battles.
Yeah, with the season coming down to a close, everything counts. Every last inch, every last point, every last piece of track, it's going to count and bring us a very exciting 75 minutes here around Sebring, and I'm very excited to see how this all plays out for us today.
I certainly am as well. And Kevin Ford brings you your track guide tonight from Sebring.
Welcome, everyone, to Sebring International Raceway. Great to have you with us as we provide you your track guide around this iconic road course that dates all the way back to 1950. There is certainly something special about this course with its multi-track surfaces and technical corners. It is a challenge for any driver pretty much on any given day. Let's begin our track guide here as we get rolling around this 3.74-mile road course. Pit entry to the right there, as you saw as we began rolling, as we come across the stripe and head down for turn 1 here. We're going to look for that late apexing entry as we get down into 4th gear here. Let that car roll to the center, come right to throttle and open that thing up, coming right off the exit. Very fast entry into turn 2 and then down hard on the brakes into turn 3 here. Tight left-hander that's going to wrap right back to the right to set up for our entry into turn 5. This will bring us out to a wide exit and then up through Big Bend. That's right, turn 6 here, very fast exit out of 6. This is where overtaking opportunities will happen for certain. Coming down here into the hairpin of turn 7. Slowest portion on the track, but quick on exit. It widens back out here where drivers will get some good speed up through Fangio, up into turn 9 here, and ultimately into turn 10. Heavy braking zone, and again, another overtaking spot here as drivers will really wind down through the gears, coming through that very undulating section of Cunningham Corner. Double lefts here as we come up through Collier and now down into Tower Corner, turn 13. Tough to find that apex on that corner, I'll tell you that. It's a very difficult entry back there. Now as we come up through the fast section of 14 and into 15, my favorite section on the course here, into what's known as Le Mans. Turn 16, this will bring us out to the fastest portion of the course, Almond Straight. And this is where drivers can really stretch their legs a bit, and of course overtaking opportunities here with the draft. And a lot of high speed coming down into the most infamous corner here at Sebring, Sunset Bend. A lot of undulation as we get down through the gears and get right back to throttle to come around this very, very undulating corner, up right to the edge of the track and out to the front straightaway, back down across the stripe. And there is your track guide for Sebring International Raceway. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks, Kevin, for the track guide here tonight. And that is what the drivers will be in store for of the Sebring International Raceway. We'll pull up your current qualifying standings that as they sit at the moment. And surprise, surprise, Aeronam is on the pole. He's been the dominant one all season long, but Caden Bien is close behind him, just 2/10 in that RSR Esports Ferrari. So will Caden be able to take the fight to the ever fast Estonian Aeronam? That will be the question that we'll have to see here today. Aeronam, though, finishing out his second qualifying lap at the moment. And let's see what he's on for right now. We only have 3 minutes left in qualifying. Aeronam goes better at a 154.36. So Aeronam is able to move up in, he's able to retain the pole, obviously, and extend his gap out to 0.3 of a second. William Laster, actually, moves up into second and beats out Caden Bien by 3/100ths.
Yeah, William Laster able to inch out there just by a little bit, but every bit counts here, and he's going to be happy in P2. But Aeronam just on another level right now, 0.3 ahead around bumpy and chaotic Sebring. We saw in his closing few corners of his car just being bounced up all over the place, and it's a different type of beast, this track.
Sebring International Raceway certainly is. I've driven here before in the real world, and I can say that the bumps are certainly something that need to be respected. And they don't say respect the bumps for nothing here, because the second that you get a little bit too greedy with them, they will bite you pretty hard indeed. So drivers tonight, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple of drivers possibly have some issues over those bumps through turns like turn 17 and Sunset Bend, and also in towards turn number 1. Two of the bumpiest and fastest sections on the racetrack. But if we're going to see anybody have some issues, I would say that turn 1's the most likely.
Turn 1 definitely causes a lot of chaos, as we were looking at Mike Dam coming across the line, moving up into P4 with a 154.753. You can watch the suspension of that car just work its butt off right there as he's going through turn 1. Here's Aeronam. Just see that car just jumping all over the place as he drives into the pits, but that inside line is just very crazy right now. Also, Le Mans, just a massive weight transfer. Say head down into that massive straight.
Yes, the long back straightaway. It'll be a good area to set up a pass, possibly down in towards Sunset Bend, but you've really got to trust your equipment if you're going to make a move into Sunset Bend, because if you get in there just a bit too hard, get up over the bumps a bit too fast, then you'll end up into the very close tire walls on the exit. You really don't want to end up in that one at all. But looking back towards your GTD field, it is Ian Gagon Renault who leads out that one at a 158.05. And he is currently leads Tyler Shiflett by just about 0.3 of a second. Then it drops off another 0.3 back to Brandon Whitworth. Then it'll be Jack Wells, Brandon Bisler, and Eric Violet, your top 6 in that class. We just have a few drivers left finishing up their laps. They don't have too much longer to do so. And Loski Diolio, the last driver to finish it up, and he won't have time. And that will be your grid as we speak. So we're waiting for the grid to come through, and there it is. Aeronam will start on the pole alongside William Laster. Caden Bien will start out a third with Mike Dam in fourth. Andrew Carroll around at your top 5. Travis Schwenke will be in the 6th spot. Robert Hartley in 7th, Elvis Rankin in 8th, Chris Thorne in 9th, David Payton rounds out your top 10. Then it is Ryan Reeves who will start out of the 11th, Brian Cartier in 12th. Then it's Georgie Fike and Rafael Sosa. That'll make up your 7th row. Then Jeff Jacobs rounding out your top 15, Edgar Sancinelli, Russ Ruddock, Raymond Bader Jr., Brandon Wilson, and Loski Diolio and Pascal Iannucci. They will round out your grid of drivers here tonight. Now we jump over to your GTLM field. Now we jump back, to your GTD field here, And it'll be Ian Gagon Renault who will start on the pole alongside Tyler Galmente. Brandon Whitworth will start at a third with Jack Wells in 4th. Brandon Mislow will round out your top 5. Eric Violet, Tyler Shiflett, Chad Parker, Lee Overton, Derek Holland, that will round out your field of GTD drivers here tonight. You can see everyone lining up on the front straightaway here today. And we will be just waiting a few more moments' time before they will go rolling for the entire formation lap that we have here in Sebring.
Yeah, about 30 seconds until the field advances to a rolling start, but it's going to be a very long and relaxing pace lap here at Sebring, but getting all these drivers used to the corner, driving around with each other too wide. I expect these guys to be racing in a big old pack these opening few corners, and probably around this opening lap, the GTD field is so close with each other.
They certainly are indeed. The GTLMs as well. The majority of the drivers are in that GTLM field, so expect them to have some good battles indeed as well. But the drivers now get rolling behind the Porsche safety car, and they roll around for an entire formation lap. But this gives us an opportunity here to go ahead and talk about what to expect out of tonight's race. We're looking at a single pit stop here tonight, and it's all going to be taking place in this beautiful golden sunset hours in Sebring.
You gotta love golden sunset hours. Track temp usually stays a bit low. Everyone's a little bit more relaxed around these hours. The lights are certainly more effective, I must say. And you might see a lot of flashing here because Sebring, not a very easy track to lap cars, especially if you get caught in one of these bends of this opening sector.
Certainly can be, and it's a difficult track to pass at a lot of times too. You really just have to do a Danny Rick and lick the stamp and send it if you're going to make a pass. I mean, there's really no place to make an easy overtake here at Sebring. There really isn't anything such as an easy overtake at Sebring, to be honest.
There's no such thing as an easy overtake anywhere.
Well, you do have that right. You do have that right, but the drivers also have to keep in mind their incident points because they'll receive a one-race penalty point for reaching 21 incidents and a drive-through for reaching 26. So keep an eye if we see any race control messages come up at the bottom of your screen that have to do with the incident limits being reached, because if anyone receives a drive-through penalty, then that means that they hit that 26 incident limit. But I wouldn't expect to see this. We really haven't seen a whole lot of drivers hit that. You can see the track conditions are up on the left-hand side of your screen. It's 21 degrees air temperature and 23 degrees Celsius on the track. So it's really not that hot out there right now for these drivers.
Yeah, it's a cool evening for them right now, and 53% humidity, so everyone's got great visibility right now. Partly cloudy sky, so you're going to get a good sunset after this race.
Certainly will indeed, and we'll expect the GTLMs to come in around 35 minutes into the race, all the way up until about the 50-minute into the race. And GTDs, we're going to see them come from the 30 to 35 minutes to the 45 to 50-minute mark. We will see them come in to make their pit stop. We'll see it anywhere in between that point. Again, bonus points. For those of you who are new to the series, if you lead a lap, you get a bonus point, and if you're the top qualifier, you get a bonus point. But that won't matter here for Aeronom, as he's already reached the maximum bonus points you can get in a season, which is 9. So Aeronom has already reached that maximum, so he really won't have to worry about getting that. But pole position for him is still something he's aiming for.
Yeah, especially if you want to play with somebody during the championship, hold them off. Especially if they're trying to lead a lap. Don't give it to them. Doesn't matter if you left out all the bonus points. You can still hold them off and try to convince them that they don't need those bonus points, as the GTD field is backed off, as the GTLM field is rising ahead behind the Porsche States car, all under the pace of Aeronom as they go around Sunset Bend.
So they head around Sunset Bend here for the formation lap, and they will be under the control of race control behind the scenes. Let's see when Aeronom decides to gun it. The field is in the hands of Aeronom. We wait for the green flag to fly. The field already starting to spread out, and green flag in the air. We're racing from Sebring. 3 wide already as William Laster goes down the inside. Mike Dam, and look at Andrew Carney loses a lot of time. William Laster, loses a lot of time. So something's happened to him there on the start. Everyone else gets through, though.
Caden Bin around the outside had an amazing start. He's going to make the move around the outside in turn 2, and I think he's going to try to get it. They're still side-by-side battling. Great start by Caden Bin. He timed that one to perfection as the GTD field is launching off and getting ready to go as Renault leads them out, and they're bunching up 3 wide heading into turn 1.
And you can see there's already some damage to the back end of Ian Gagan Renault, and look at Brandon Whitworth sense it down the inside, and he's gonna move himself up into the lead, but it's gonna be Ian Gagan Renault gonna put it around the outside. Contact is made, and they're gonna be 3 wide then on the exit. Tyler Shiflett's gonna benefit from that the most, and he's gonna move up into the race lead.
What crazy starts we have in the GTLM and the GTD fields. Great start by Caden Ben. Very good start by Renault until that incident where he gets side by side and he actually got airborne off of the side of Tyler Shiflett.
You can see everyone filing through in your GTLM field. It is still Caden Bien who leads that field out by quite a margin over Aeronom. It's up to 0.7 of a second. Andrew Karen in the other RSR Esports car sits down in 3rd position. Then it's William Laster and Mike Dam who will round out your top 5 at this point. Then it's Schwanke, Hartley, Payton, Rankin, and Reeves. That's your top 10. But the GTD field really had an action-packed start there.
Yeah, heading into turn 1, there are 3 wide, almost 4 wide. The leader, actually, Renault, he went super wide, actually off the track. I guess he just really wanted to defend that, but he had a great gap leading into turn 1, but coming into turn 2, what a send up the inside, which caused all that craziness. Tyler Shiflett up 6 places already.
Certainly was a very large send indeed for your what is currently 3rd or 4th in the race, Brandon Whitworth. But that was a very impressive one from him there. You can see all your GTD field cycled through turn 1. But like you said, Tyler Shiflett up 6 positions. Tyler Galmente, though, is going to look down the inside in the F4H Racing Audi. But he won't be able to get it done as Ian Gagan Renault makes a mistake. We don't see that very often at a Renault.
He might have some damage off of that opening lap incident.
It looks to me like he does. We'll see if we can get a camera angle where it shows it, but I can see some damage to the rear end bumper of that F4H Racing Mercedes.
Yeah, because it's got airborne. I was thinking more about tire suspension damage because that car does not look like it's liking to turn left a little bit.
He has straight steering, so as far as steering goes, he is okay. But like you said, that car definitely does not look like it's handling the way that he would have wanted it to. But let's jump back to your leaders here in GTLM. Caden Bien still leads, Aeronam in 2nd, and Andrew Karen in 3rd. Let's ride on board with the BMW driver. We go on to the roof cam of Andrew Karen as he chases down Caden Bien, his teammate, and Aeronam, who sits down in 2nd place. Usually we see Aeronam just blitz away from this field on the start, but so far, Caden Bien was really able to take to the challenge.
Oh, we got a race control incident involving cars number 54 and 60. It's under review, and that is between Chris Thorman and Brandon Wilson, who... Oh, yeah, Chris Thorman's being looked at for incident.
Interesting indeed there. I'm not quite sure what he did. Don't see anything on the incident counter. We'll have to see what race control comes back with that one. You can see here Andrew Karen actually under attack from William Laster. And Laster, though, not able to put up too much of a fight to the RSR Esports driver at this point. But your GTLM field really starting to spread out a little bit. Oh, there's an incident further back.
Edgar Centinelli involved with Losky Diolio. What's happened here? Oh, I know this corner way too well. around the outside. Just very slow up onto the inside. Just had to avoid that curb and just hooks him. The 57 goes hard into the wall.
So unfortunate stuff there for Loschi D'Olio and Edgar Sancinelli. So I wonder if that will go into review from Race Control. We'll see it. You'll see it at the bottom of your screen. If it does, they are able to send through everything that they're looking at over that system. But the top two in your GTLM have started to stretch away now. Aero Knob is 0.6 of a second behind race leader Caden Bien, but they hold a 1.2 second advantage over William Laster in third.
Yeah, William Laster is losing a lot of pace to these top guys. He's also got his mirrors full of Andrew Caron and Mike Dam right behind him. And I believe, knowing those two drivers, they're definitely going to be trying to send it up the inside as much as they can. Andrew Caron, if you were here on Apex Racing TV and saw the charity race, he won the F3 category here yesterday, so he definitely has a lot of practice around this track. And he's laid on the brakes, almost comes into the very back end of Laster, but he really timed that brake zone to perfection.
Certainly did indeed. We will have to see how everything shakes out for him. Like you said, he's definitely quick at the Sebring Raceway. He knows it quite well, but this BMW is a very different beast than that F3 car is around this track. It's a whole lot softer. It goes over the bumps just that little bit better.
Yeah, and also it's a much shorter race. We were over there for 1 hour and 30 minutes, not 1 hour and 15.
So that certainly could be indeed. I haven't seen anything come through on Race Control, so possibly the incident that they were reviewing earlier just not getting any sort of any further action, at least from them, and I haven't seen anything. I've been looking for it, and I haven't seen anything come through.
Oh, wait, that's the incident that we just saw. That one's under review.
So the incident between Loschi D'Olio and Edgar Sancinelli, which caused Sancinelli to end up on top of the barrier, is under review. Let's jump back here, though, to your GTD field. Let's check in on the progress.
Look at the background.
Oh, that was a big moment for someone in the background there. Who was that? That was Lee Overton in the Downforce Motorsports car. Let's see if I can quickly grab a replay of that. It's right on board with him. Ooh, that was a moment there.
The weight transfer got him on the exit.
Jump back a little bit further ahead, though, to Eric Violet. He's currently in a battle with Brandon Misler. Misler, take it. You can just see the difference in the lines there between the two drivers. It's very much a preference thing, I've heard, from drivers down here, whether they want to take the tighter line or they kind of want to just let the car flow out a little bit more. It's also really two-way your car's liking is, and obviously you can see the difference there, and they got off the corner pretty much even, so it's nice to see that there's some very varying lines here at Sebring.
While you were talking about that, a warning has been issued to Chris Thornman from that opening incident that we still don't know what's happened, but he's been given a warning by Race Control.
So a warning by Race Control, and that has been looked at by them. This battle, though, starting to heat up with Misler. Misler looking all over the back of Eric Violet. And Violet really not letting this one up here. But I just don't think that Misler's got to run anywhere where he's just able to send it down the inside. He looks again, but Violet's just blocking this one off nicely then from the F4H racing driver. Obviously, Eric Violet driving for D2D Esports. They have a very large presence in the league, running five cars tonight. Five cars, sorry. 5 cars they have tonight.
Whoa.
Oh, and that's a car turned around.
That was Whitworth.
Brandon Whitworth is turned around here. Let's see what happened to him. Let's actually jump back here to Bray. I think he just goes in a bit too hard.
I heard Tires just screaming for help as we were looking at that battle. And then, well, that pretty much proves my point of what was happening. Lamont is so tricky, especially with the weight transfer. And look at all these different lines these guys are taking through Sunset Bend.
May have 3 wide here down and towards turn number 1. They're not going to, though. Jack Wells and Eric Violet side by side. Violet sends it into turn 1. Wells goes for the faster line, and that's a big slide for Eric Violet, and that's going to allow Wells and Misler through. So Eric Violet, after attacking turn 1 just that little bit too much, and that just shows how you've got to respect these bumps here at Sebring. You go in too hard and you try to get asked too much, and that's almost a big incident there for Kata Biet as well. So that just shows how difficult, like you were saying, Le Mans is.
Yeah, if you don't have your car set up to just absorb these bumps and actually get the car turned around and accept weight transfer, your car is going to go shooting straight off or turning way too much. It's a setup sweet spot because also these guys have to have it set up for Sunset Bend. You can see on how bumpy that is. And also a penalty for car number 36. He's getting a drive-through penalty. And that is for Diolio, and he's already in last place, so he's not going to be happy about that, getting a drive-through penalty.
So a drive-through penalty then for Loski Diolio, who after making contact with Edgar Sancinelli, which caused Sancinelli to inevitably retire that car, he has received a drive-through penalty for it, but let's jump back here. Let's look at some of the battles a little bit further down the order here. This is between Robert Hartley and Pete Sen, Brandon Cartier, Brian Cartier, Georgie Fike, and Chris Thorman, all involved in this battle. They're in a group here, but I don't think that really anyone's going a whole lot of battling here as I say that. Brian Cartier really looked like he was going to send one down the inside, but obviously Cartier and Fike are teammates at Phoenix Racing, so I wouldn't be surprised, or I would be surprised if I see these two get into any sort of aggressive battling.
Well, I've seen two teammates send it on each other before, and it's caused some craziness, but an inter-team rivalry is always fun to watch. You might see these two get into it later on in the race. Remember, we're still early on, not even 50 minutes into this 1 hour and 15-minute race. I would say around the 45-minute mark, we might see the gloves coming off from these teammates, but currently they're just running very clean with each other.
Certainly are indeed. And you can just see the sun is really starting to set here over the Sebring Raceway. I wouldn't be surprised if we get into more of the nighttime. By the time this race is over, we have over an hour's worth of racing left to go here. So really, I mean, we've seen a lot of action in the first 15 minutes of these Ricmotech GT Challenge races, but nothing like this before.
Certainly nothing like this. My first time commentating with you in the Ricmotech series, but I have been watching through the series, and I must say thank you to David Ballin for subscribing to Apex Racing TV here on YouTube.
And there we go. And let's actually jump back a little bit further here. This is a battle between Elvis Rank and David Payton and Ryan Reeves. So this is a little bit of a, wow, that's very close between Reeves and Payton. They're going to go side by side again, and all this is allowing is Elvis Rankin to pull away ahead and allowing Robert Hartley and that group of 4 to close in behind here.
I believe Payton just got a slowdown, according to Bobby Childs in chat.
So Payton with a slowdown. That would explain why Ryan Reeves is able to get that move done on him. But now it's all about whether Payton can defend from Robert Hartley or if he's going to fall victim to the X-Site driver. Currently, Hartley really not able to he hasn't gotten off just too rapid of a start here. He's actually up to a pretty slow start is the X-Site driver. Obviously teammates with Travis Schwenke, who's running up in that 6th position. So you would assume that being teammates, they're on the same setup, and for some reason, though, Schwenke is doing a whole lot better than Hartley tonight.
Well, Schwenke's in the Porsche. They're both in the Porsche, are they?
Yes.
Well, I was looking at a different car. Sometimes your same setup just works differently for people. I remember when I raced in USF 2000, my teammate and I, we raced on the same setup. I could not drive his setup at all.
Certainly is a driver preference thing, and I feel like, though, from how long that we've seen Hartley and Schwenke work together, I mean, they've worked together for a couple seasons now in various different championships, from the Ricmotech the GT Challenge season, obviously, here. They also worked together on the Ricmotech World Challenge Series, so I'm really not too sure why all of a sudden Robert Hartley's a lot slower than he usually is. I mean, we see him competing up front in the Sports Car Series. Speaking of battles, though, we have Elvis Rankin, who's now right up on the back, or is having to defend here, from Ryan Reeves in that Alpine Sim Sport car. BMW versus Porsche. You can just see the legs that Porsche has as it heads down the straightaway. I mean, Ryan Reeves really could just do nothing to keep up with him off the corner.
Yeah, the acceleration off the corner by Elvis is just phenomenal, but it's all going to come down to that straight line speed that Beamer has.
The BMW really benefiting from the straight line speed. I would say that between the BMW and the Ferrari, it's probably, they're a close for who has the better straight line speed. But the BMW obviously having a lot more than that Porsche. But the Porsche able to pull itself off the corner a lot better than the BMW does. So it's a pretty close fight when you think about it. And right now, Ryan Reeves hasn't been able to get by Elvis Rankin or even go for a move.
It's going to come down to who gets the better exit out of Le Mans and who just has the better mid-corner in Le Mans. And right now, I think Elvis just got a better exit than Ryan Reeves, as David Patton is closing in on the BMW right now. We might have a move for P8 instead of P7.
Could be a move here. Will David Payton try it? Let's ride on board with the D2DE sports driver and see how he fares. You can see the car moving all over the bumps there as he heads through Sunset Bend, and then we'll watch him down through turn 1. Again this time, let's see how he's able to fare. You can see how deep he turns in, and he actually gets a bit loose then on the entry, but that cost him a lot of time on the exit.
These cars closing in with each other in through these opening turns. Really not one of them in this train of cars showing any weakness.
Not a whole lot of movement so far in this train. I was expecting everyone to move a little bit more, but let's jump back here. There's a battle for the lead in GTD and Ian Gag on Renault. If any problems we thought he might have had, he's obviously shaken those off quite quickly because he's just taken the lead from Tyler Shiflett. Shiflett was leading for the majority of this race so far, and Ian Gag on Renault, we've seen him be quick. I think he's won every round so far that he's been in the GTD Championship, and he takes the lead again here from Sebring.
After losing the lead in that same corner and getting airborne right now, he has fought his way back into P1. What a recovery in 19 minutes in this race. That is certainly a massive story right now. It's something to be very proud of for Ian Gag on Renault.
Very good recovery indeed, and here's another battle between Jack Wells and Brandon Misler. Misler all over the back of the Beast Racing driver, but so far he is not able to move past Jack Wells. There he's gonna look all over the place, but he's just not able to find a gap.
Yeah, he's just dancing all over him. Bumper buried in his back end. Jack trying to do everything he can to keep Brendan behind him, but it's looking like Brendan is in a shark in the water smelling blood right now.
Certainly could be indeed. He's looking for a move. He doesn't try one through Le Mans, which is probably the smartest decision. If
he's got him on the switchback.
Oh, he's got him on the switchback. Good run here for Brandon Misler. He's going to move to the right-hand side. Wells defends him to the left as Wells starts to inch back closer. But Misler's holding him tight then. Let's see. They nearly make contact as Misler tries this cutback, and he isn't able to make it work. But Misler, this is some excellent battling.
Tight racing. That was a very early turn-in by Misler, trying to get the inside of the inside line there at Sunset. Heading into turn 1, I think he's not going to try the same thing. No, he is going to try the same thing, trying to inch his way up the inside, unable to do it, as Jack Wells is holding him off right now. He's probably surprised himself that he's doing it.
What a battle here in GTD. We don't see a whole lot of action from this class very often, but when we do, the battling is wonderful. Let's jump back, though, just up to the lead quite quickly. Mike Dam and Andrew Karen, they're going to be side by side. Karen's going to get that move done, but let's jump back to your battle here in GTD. We can't miss any of this. These two are still right up on each other.
Brandon Misler all over the back end of Jack Wells. Jack goes off the track right there, defending a little bit too hard, and he's going to be held off onto the inside line, and he might get overtaken by... Is that a GTLM car?
That was a GTLM car indeed of Loski Diolio. So Diolio, after serving his drive-through penalty, starting to come back through the field.
I was caught out by that. Wasn't expecting him to be making his way back on track, but looks like he got his car repaired and car towed back in and getting back there on track. So we're riding in the currently P3. It's Tyler Giumetti right behind of Tyler Shiflett. And the leader, the top three, all taking different lines, going through Sunset Bend.
Everyone taking a bit of a different line then. And you can see Brandon Misler ahead of Jack Wells. So he takes over the 4th position. Wells after that mistake. Keep an eye on Eric Violet behind. Violet could certainly have a good opportunity to close up to that group of drivers, but they've started to spread out just a little bit. Russ Ruddock as well goes by Jeff Jacobs, who seems to have a bit of problems there in that street survival racing car. The battle for the top 3 and your GTD field is certainly not over. These two are all separated by 1.2 seconds here in this front of your GTD field. And we really don't see this often out of the GTD cars, but it's just wonderful to see.
It's a great battle to always see, and also we also have a battle for the GTLM lead as well. As Caden Ben and Ironam are still nose to tail for each other and pulling out a even bigger gap to William Lassner.
So they really are starting to pull out a quite large gap to the F4H racing driver William Lassner. But right now, these two, I mean, they've kept themselves honest. Caden Ben so far really not having or letting Ironam close up any to him. He's kept him in his rear view mirror and maintaining about a half-second gap, and he has been for the last few laps now.
Yeah, these two been keeping it very clean and very honest with each other, and when you have two cars in the lead who are not really battling as hard as you think that you can, your pace just flies off the charts, and you just start pulling away from the rest of the field. That's definitely showing on right now.
Certainly is indeed here for these two drivers. I mean, they're just pulling away as I'm watching this from William Lassner, sorry. And it's good to see Caden Ben take the fight to Ironam. We haven't seen him do that many times this season, but let's see if he's able to keep pace and hold on for as long as he can. But right now, Nam is starting to close that gap up just that little bit. Let's ride on board with the Team Bushfink driver. He's in the draft right now. Caden Ben, I don't expect that he'll send one down the inside. Ironam is a very safe driver, and I really don't see him make any aggressive moves very often.
Yeah, I'm not expecting him to make a move at all. I'm not expecting him to make a move at all. He's just going to sit on his back end, wait for the pit stop strategy phase, and that's when he's going to make his move. Because in these 1 hour, 15-minute races, why risk it in the middle of the race when you know you're going to be spread apart from the guy and when you're in your pit stop time? So just take a different pit stop strategy, unleash all of it on your in-lap and out-lap, and see where you end up.
Wonderful sounds of your GTD, or your GTLM field, sorry, as we can hear from these wonderful shots that we have. That's the wonderful thing about your GTLM field. We have a very diverse group of cars. Everything from the Ferrari 488 GTE to the BMWs and the Porsches. And there's a really good mix of GTLM cars as well. I think there's a pretty even number of Ferraris, BMWs, and Porsches. So it's a wonderful thing to see, because a lot of times in leagues, you see the Ferrari being just the most dominant car taken. But in this league, every manufacturer is pretty well represented.
Yeah, every manufacturer is pretty represented in the GTLM. Also in the GTD, Brendan Misler has dropped about 5 places. Not sure what's happened to... Oh, okay. Yeah, that explains a lot.
So here's a replay of what happened to Brandon Misler. Don't tell me it's heading through Sunset Bend. No, it's not. He just hooks it into the wall.
Oh. That is unfortunate.
We'll see that one more time. We'll ride on board with him.
That bump on the outside, then the bump on the inside. To get it on the outside, riding in the grass, a little bit too aggressive turn, and then hard into the wall.
Misler will join the group of retirements here. And Brandon Whitworth as well. What's happened to Whitworth?
Ooh. Oh, what?
I think his wheel's just disconnected. I think he's had some sort of wheel problems.
Technical issue. It looks like a technical issue. This the sudden jerking of the wheel. Nothing you can do about that. That is very unfortunate for Brendan Whitworth. Both the Brendans are out.
So both Brendans out of the... Look at this battle, though. Let's just jump back up front here. We got a 3-way battle for your lead at GT.
Going through Le Mans. Oh my goodness, code murder happening in the background.
So they're all getting caught up behind Jeff Jacobs there in that GTLM car. But you can see there, Ian Gagon Renault was side by side. Now it's Tyler Shiflett and Tyler Mente side by side. The two Tylers battling down and towards turn number 1. Shiflett's going to hold on to that position. Now he's going to go back on the attack and try and close up to Ian Gagon Renault. That was a very wonderful, that was wonderful to see from them.
Very beautiful racing, pack racing for the lead, and dealing with the lapped GTLM traffic, which you don't really see a lot of the GTD cars getting past the GTLM car.
Don't often see it, but Jeff Jacobs has got some sort of problem with that BMW. I mean, you just don't expect a car like that to be that slow. And Mike Dam, the first of your pit stops, as we were talking about that, he dives into the pit lane. And he will be the first of your GTLM drivers to make a competitive pit stop here, besides Jeff Jacobs. So Jeff Jacobs, but he has some sort of issues, so there's obviously a good little issue there heading with that number 38 BMW. GTD leader still close as ever. Ian Gagon Renault leads them.
Look at that battle for P2. Tyler Gilbetti was going all over the track. A little bit of a rallycross line. Looked like he had a better exit coming out through the mid-quarter of Le Mans, but that exit did not transfer well for him.
Certainly didn't indeed, but he was able to not lose too much time in the process, but he needs to be careful with that because we saw what happened to Brandon Misler, his teammate, just a few laps ago. If you run that a little bit too wide, you run the risk of hooking it back across. It ended up in that inside tire wall, so that's certainly not something that he wants to do. Should back up, though, to your GTLM battle. Still, Elvis Rankin leads out Ryan Reeves, David Payton, and Robert Hartley for the battle for 6th down to 9th.
These guys are heading down the back straight. A little bit of gap forming between these two, but pit stops coming into view very soon. As I say that, we have one car actually going to the pit stops.
So I believe that is Chad Parker for D2D Esports. They have had a horrid night so far, haven't they? With all sorts of issues for their cars. Or really, actually, just for Brandon Whitworth with that very unfortunate incident. They've had some issues with him, but also, I think they had a penalty early on, possibly. I don't know. They just have not had the greatest night, D2D Esports has. We're used to seeing them a lot farther up the grid than they are right now.
I don't believe Chad Parker had a penalty that I know of.
So maybe that's just my imagination just playing a bunch of games on me. But nonetheless, though, we jump back to this front battle here in your GTL. Elvis Rankin's done a great job to hold off that 6th place for both Ryan Reeves, David Payton, and Robert Hartley. So as of right now, he is the young man's doing a very nice job to hold off that group behind. As well, Caden Bien and Aaron Nom, they're starting to go through some lap traffic here for them.
Yeah, they're going down the back straight. You can see the pace difference down on the straightaway, but Sunset Bend is going to be very tricky with these lapped cars. Caden Bien has nothing to worry about, though. He has no one to move. Very risky move by a few of these guys. Derek Holland going side by side, almost rubbing wheels with the Porsche. We were saying this before the start of this race on how lap traffic is definitely going to be a big problem here for a few of these guys, especially in the corners. And it was kind of showing a little bit of trouble coming through Le Mans, and then they got through them on the straight. But Sunset Bend and off that exit is just very showing of that tail.
And it certainly is. I mean, you can just see how difficult everything is for these GTLMs to get by that slower GTD traffic. And it can cost you a lot of time. I mean, it cost Aaron Nom just about half a second, only getting held up for one corner on the GTD traffic. So imagine getting held up for half the first sector for these guys who maybe aren't as experienced with the traffic and can't quite get by as quickly. Imagine how much time that's going to cost them.
Some lights would be flashed and some explicitives would be said. I can guarantee that.
We got a battle for the lead, though, again. Ian Gagon Renault is starting to get chased down again by Tyler Shiflett. Tyler Galmente has pretty much been dropped like a bad habit off the back of this group.
Yeah, Galmente also has that GTLM car, just making it very hard for him to get back. Jeff Jacobs is being more like a bouncer to the top two.
Pretty much is. That's a very interesting analogy, which is surprisingly true. But the front two are certainly engaged in a very close battle here at the 35-minute mark. And we should be seeing everyone dive into the pit lane soon as Travis Schwenke does just that, and he will bring that Excite iRacing car into the pit lane for the first time. No other takers here on this lap of the race. Everyone else is going to stay out at the moment. Currently working lap 18. So right now, some drivers coming in early. That is definitely on the earlier side for your GTLM pit stops, but it's not uncommon. It is still doable on the fuel window. They are technically able to do it.
Yeah, you were saying before the race it was minute 36 that we were expecting the GTLM's fuel window, pit stop window to open up. This is 35, just at the very midpoint of that, so that is a very risky strategy. He's going to just be barely making it to the end.
Certainly is on the early side of pit stops. Now, I wouldn't expect the GTD runners really to come into the pit lane other than the ones that are already in, but I would say for the GTD guys that they're going to be the ones, if anything, that will stay out a bit longer than your GTLM field. I think that your GTLM, though, guys, can seem to get away with pitting on the earlier side of the fuel windows. Something's happened, though, to Caden Bien. He's losing a lot of time here to Aero Nam. Nam is really closed up to the back of the RSR Esports driver. It's now down to 6.5 tenths of a second. So the team Bushfink Racing driver of Aero Nam is really starting to close up on Caden Bien right now.
Yeah, Aero Nam's so consistent. He's put in the fastest lap a few laps ago, and he's just about 0.05 of a second behind his fastest lap last lap, and it just shows you how comfortable he is to be behind Caden Ben but not make a move. He is a very safe driver. He shows that he has a pace, and it's proving my point that he's just waiting for Caden Ben to go to the pit stop and put in a blast of a lap to get ahead of him.
I think that you're correct about that one. It looks to me like Aero Nam is just sitting back and biding his time. We know that Aero does this. I mean, he's done it before. And he plays his strategies to perfection every single time. I have yet to see Aero Nam mess up a strategy yet in all the time that I've been commentating on the Ricmotech series. And, sorry, we'll jump back to that in just a moment, but Elvis Rankin and Ryan Reeves side by side here. And Rankin may actually lose out to another position to David Payton because Payton's getting racy behind.
Well, he might go 3 wide in this braking zone. Hard on the brakes goes the BMW, but Rankin holds it around the outside and holds him off, keeping his nose ahead, and here comes Payton now. Reeves unable to get the move corrected, and the Porsche pulling away from the Beamer on the exit of the corners. Now let's see if Payton can take advantage of this crazy situation through Le Mans.
We'll see if he's able to get by the ultra big BMW M8. It makes it very difficult to pass, these BMWs. They're just so big in comparison to these tiny little Ferraris. And keep an eye on Robert Hartley. He's just sitting back and biding his time there, sitting down in the fourth position in this train. But I wouldn't be surprised if these guys get really racy. And actually, Ryan Reeves is going to dive in. Ryan Reeves into the pit box.
Also, somebody else is in the pit lane in front of him. I believe that was one of the GTD cars.
I think that's just one of the many battered GTD cars that are already in the pits.
Yeah, it was Derek Holland, the other car for Mandalorian Racing. Great team name, I must say.
So Holland starts to go out again, and he will be the closest competitor to him is Lee Overton at the moment, and that's was his closest competitor as well. So He has a fair few laps before that happens again until he will get to close up, and that battle will resume. But we're 40 minutes in to this hour and 15-minute race, and with that, we are going to go nonstop here on Apex Racing TV. We'll be back in just a few moments' time. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Ricmotech GT Challenge. We have continuous coverage on Apex Racing TV. Currently at the 44-minute mark, none of your front-running GTLMs have come into the pit stops phase, have come in to do their pit stops, and they've been slowly plucking away at your GTD traffic.
Yeah, we were seeing Kaden, Ben, and Aeronam dealing with the fourth place of Jack Wells in that Mercedes as they're going around Sunset. Ben and Aeronam getting a big gap to Kaden Ben right there.
Yeah, that gap has really just been slinking these last few laps. I mean, Nam gets close, then Bien pulls away again in traffic, and then Nam gets close again, and Bien pulls away again in traffic, and it's just been doing that for the last few laps now. I'm not too sure why, because usually we see Aero Nam be excellent in traffic.
Yeah, the traffic we saw prove a big gap. He was right on his nose, and then just gets through Le Mans and Sunset Bend and those first few corners, and he's lost up to 1.3 seconds behind Caden Bim. If I was Caden right now, I would go into the pits this lap.
I would as well. We're at the 45-minute mark. There's 30 minutes left of this race. We're well over the halfway point at this stage. Everything's really started to spread out here. And the Sebring Raceway rubber has really started to go down. You can see drivers really aren't having to deal with any sort of... they're not really dealing with any sort of rear-end grip like we saw at the beginning of the race. A lot of drivers starting to lose that, and we should see some lights come on here in the next. You can actually see there already. Lights are illuminated from the drivers, so the sun is really starting to get towards the latter stages of its set.
Oh, I thought Bin was going in right there. I thought both these guys were heading in because Aero Nam is closing in on Caden Bin. He's within that 1 second right now, like he's usually been, as the new GTD fastest lap has been put down by Gio Dometti.
So Tyler Galmente sets the new fastest lap in your GTD field. He currently sits in second. Tyler Shiflett took to the pits that time. So that is not what Tyler Shiflett wants to see, is Tyler Galmente going out and setting fastest laps like that.
It's definitely not what you want to see from your rival, just putting down just class best time, personal best time probably as well.
Certainly not what you want to see indeed. But the gap is starting to come down again at the front of the field. Caden Bien is only leads now from Aero Nam by 0.7 of a second. So the gap is really starting to come down quite a bit and quite aggressively, but Ben's actually done a nice job to pull away a little bit.
Yeah, Ben's got to pull away, but also look at that traffic that they're right behind. It's going to be crazy seeing if these guys carry on another lap. If whoever pits this lap is probably going to come out on the lead because they are not going to have to deal with the lap traffic.
It wouldn't be surprising to me if we see Aero Nam dive in this time. Now the question will be, oh, that's a bit of contact there for Caden Bien and your second place driver in GTD of Tyler Galmente. But I wouldn't be surprised, like I was just about to say, if Caden Bien does come in this time, or if Caden doesn't, then Aero does. Caden Bien dives in this time. Aero Nam stays out, so he does the opposite strategy to Caden Bien. And let's see if he sets down the lap times we're expecting him to do. We expect Aero Nam to push like he's never done before in this race and try and overlap Caden Bien.
He's got 3 cars ahead of him, and Caden Ben's going to have a clear track ahead of him when he comes out of the pit lane. If we pull up that track map, it'll help us visualize it a little bit better. Yeah, Aero Nam, he's already made his way past. He's got 2 cars ahead of him, 3 cars technically, as Caden clear track all the way. I think Caden Ben is going to keep P1.
Be interesting to see. You can see up there on your track map, Caden Ben is in the lighter blue 3, and Aero Nam is in the white number 1. That's going through now, and you can see them on the track map, so we can keep an eye on where everyone is cycling out.
Yeah, if we go on to Aero Nam right now, he's just following behind a few lap cars. And it's just making his way very hard for him. And he's just pushing like a madman. He needs to get into that clean air to put down these times he needs to.
certainly does right now. And a few other drivers as well coming into the pit lane in other battles. We'll check in on those in a few moments' time, but this is the battle for the overall lead that we need to stick with now. Does Aeronom come in this time, or does he wait it out and see if he can go yet another lap?
Well, this lap definitely was not the one he was looking for with all the lap traffic. He's probably going to try to put down an even faster lap, but the smart person in him is probably going to say, go into the pits and try to find out, and that's what he's going to do. He also murders a cone on his way in there.
So a bit of cone murdering going on there for Aeronom. You can see the live gap. So you can see the live gap there between Aeronom and Caden Bien. At the moment, it currently sits at 37.4 seconds. So let's jump back over here. Let's watch Caden Bien. Where is he going to cycle out? This is the important part here. This is for the lead of the race. Aeronom still isn't moving, and he goes down. You can see that they're on the same camera shot as they headed towards turn number 1, and Aeronom is going to come out in the race lead. I think it's going to be very close indeed, and they're barely, but it's going to be Aeronom.
Aeronom gets it by 3/10 ahead of Caden Ben, and now we got a race here in Sebring, but it's not Caden Ben in the lead, it's Aeronom with the overcut.
Wow, that is a great lap there for Aeronom. It's going to put him just able to be ahead, even though he got held up by the GTD traffic. What an in-lap then from Aeronom.
Oh, he probably short-fueled his car, so this might have a little bit implications at the very end of the race, but with just 25 minutes to go, I think he will have enough to carry on, but Caden Ben is going to try everything in his power to get past Aeronom. But what a lap in that lap traffic. For sure, when I saw Caden go in there, I'm like, he's got it. But that just shows you on how much on a different level Aeronom is.
He certainly is indeed. He's the championship leader for a reason, and he's got that championship with a commanding lead here. I think if he just finishes pretty much these next few races inside the top 10, then he's got the championship secure. But they're going to go side by side and towards Sunset Bend. Caden Bien's going to try it round the outside, and Aeronom's going to be the inside now. Caden's going to try the switchback on the Team Bushfang driver, but it's going to be to no use. They're still going to be side by side, though, down the front straightaway. He's going to have to go around the outside again through turn number 1. But Caden Bien's going to have to concede the position to Aeronom.
Bien's all over that rear bumper. A good setup. The inside can do it. Nom expects that move up the inside. Is going to sacrifice his corner. Defending on the inside. Caden Bien just takes it normally. And Bien and Nom racing it out right now. And that draft from Nom is going to be good for Bien, but I don't think he's got enough to go into the braking zone right here.
I don't think he's going to have enough to send it down the inside, and he does not. He stick up behind Aeronom, but that was a very close little bit there. The gap in GTD for the lead is also coming down. Tyler Shiflett for Meh Motorsports is also down now to 0.8 of a second behind Ian Gagon Renault, the Canadian, for Alpine Simsport, or for F4H Racing, sorry. He currently leads by just 0.8 of a second over his closest rival of Ian Gagon Renault. Tyler Galmente and the other F4H Racing, Audi, is going to be down in third. So F4H Racing have a very good showing here tonight, running first and third in GTD.
F4H Racing definitely getting good smiles as we're back at the lead with Aeronom and Caden Bien having a good old drag race. See Caden just closing in just slightly, but once more as we head into Sunset Bend, Caden looking as close as he can out to that inside, trying to find any bit. Had a little bit of correction over one of these bumps. And he's just going to be sitting behind of Aero Nom. I expect when these two guys hit traffic, it's going to get even more spicier.
Wouldn't be surprised if we see these guys. Oh, Aeronom! We don't see a mistake like that from Aeronom very often, and he's gonna spin that Ferrari around, and he's gonna lose another spot to William Laster in the process, and maybe even Andrew Karen. We don't see a mistake like that from Aeronom ever.
Such a rare move by Aeronom, just out of nowhere. Just a little bit too much. His back wheels got into the grass in the braking zone, and he just didn't have the rear wheel grip, and it just lost it right there. His back left wheel got into the grass, and he just lost it. Oh my goodness.
I haven't seen a mistake like that from Aeronom in my history of commentating on the Ricmotech Sports Car Series. It just made history for me.
I think I'm a curse.
So that is shaking up your front three in GTLM quite dramatically. Caden Bien now is at a 5-second lead over William Laster in second. Aeronom a further 2.5 seconds back. And then Andrew Karen is half a second behind Nom. But my question here is Nom going to have enough time to close the gap to William Laster and then possibly even close the gap back to Caden Bien? Because we saw the pace that Aeronom had.
He does have the pace to do it, but has that incident just kind of shaken his bones a little bit, told him to back off. You're pushing a little bit too hard. But we know Aeronom, we know his pace. I think he's going to just drive the car as fast as he can. Maybe catch up to Laster, but I'm not sure if that incident just shook him up just a little bit and rattled his cage.
Certainly could have. But right now, Caden Bien's starting to lose a bit of time, so is Bien getting a bit too comfortable out in the lead at the moment? William Laster is actually starting to pull away just a bit here from Aeronom, but as I say that, Nom starts to close that gap down once again. So it's all about just how much Aeronom can build his confidence back up. We don't see a mistake like that from Nom very often, so he doesn't... This is normal for him.
Definitely not normal at all. So we're looking at the battle for the lead in the GTD category between Renault and Shiflett, as well as Tyler Gilmetti. And these three guys have pretty much pulled out a very respectable gap to the cars behind them.
They really have. I mean, these two, they pulled away about 7 seconds? Sorry? Yeah, about 7 seconds back to Eric Violet, and then a further 3 seconds back to Jack Wells. And then this group of drivers has really pulled out the most gap. From them, it's 44 seconds back to Lee Overton, so they have really stretched out that gap.
Back up to... Andrew Karen is all over the back end of Aeronom.
He certainly is indeed. He's now down to 0.3 of a second.
And Nom's losing time to Laster.
They actually are. So has this really rattled the cage of Aeronom?
I think it has. He's not being as aggressive. I think he'll take a P3 and just go with it, but he's got Karen right behind him, and Aero might be feeling the pressure just a little bit.
Certainly could be indeed. We'll see how he fares here. From Andrew Karen, with the pressure from behind of the BMW drive. I mean, this is not normal at Veradom at all.
It's a very weird night here in Sebring. Nom closing up the gap just a little bit to Laster, but I think it's just that opening sector. He's just, after that incident, he's just taking it very, very slowly.
He certainly is. I just don't think he's quite got the confidence through that first sector anymore, and that's causing him so much time.
Is this going to be surprising when these two guys hit lap traffic? I said when it was going to hit lap traffic, it's going to get extremely spicy here. I wasn't expecting it to happen immediately. They weren't even in lap traffic. That's the thing. You just had one car to worry about, and he just made a driver mistake.
He just, very simple driving error that was. I mean, I think that we've all made that mistake in the past. So that's it's certainly an interesting one there, and not something that we see all that often.
Yeah, certainly something none of us are used to seeing. Because I remember I've done braking on the grass before up in Lime Rock Park, and oh, that was not fun. Had a date with the tire wall.
Yeah, it's definitely never something that you want. David Payton, by the way, has caught up to the back of Elvis Rankin for 6th place. He's all over the back of the Little King Racing driver is David Payton in the D2D Sports Ferrari.
A little bit of locking from Payton right there. Some tire smoke on the back end. I wonder if he's pushing that just a little bit too much on Elvis Rankin.
Certainly could be. Something that you really got to be careful with, because if you push just a little bit too hard, then you're going to find yourself end up making these little mistakes that can really cost you.
There's going to be a lot of mistakes here, especially in these last 15 minutes of this race as they're heading through Le Mans. They also have that lapped Mercedes ahead of them, who's going to give him the way. Very easy. No drama overtaking right here, right before Sunset Bend.
So everyone deals with that nicely then, or at least these two drivers deal with that lap traffic very nicely indeed. Let's actually jump back to your lead battles just for a few moments here. We jump back right as I believe that is Travis Schwenke overlapping this group of cars, but that is your top three. Who's that spun around?
There was a car spun around off the track. I believe that was
Los Skidiolio. Los Skidiolio takes that car for another spin. He's really had a horrid night since it has Los Skidiolio. I mean, he's had so many incidents.
And I believe incidents, got parked up onto the barrier, towed back, repaired, came back out, more spinning. It's just, night to forget. Might have a little bit of the bubbly, just soften his souls after that.
I think he probably needs to, and just pretty much forget about the entire night altogether. This battle still hasn't gone anywhere, though, but they have started to close in on William Laster ahead. This is the battle with Andrew Karen and Aaron Naw, but they've got just about 10 minutes left now, so I would be surprised if they're able to close up to William Laster, and even more surprised if they're able to close up to Caden Biet. I'm expecting that at least the top three at this point will stay the same. If there's going to be a battle, it will at least be for P3.
Yeah, Karen and Nom still with each other, but they have closed the gap. They're closing the gap down to Laster. So we might have a three-way fight at the very end of this race if William Laster continues on this pace.
Certainly could indeed. It just depends on how good Aeronom and Andrew Karen are, whether they battle too much or they just keep themselves aligned. Karen's looking for a move here on Aeronom. Maybe Karen feels that he's faster and that Nom's actually holding him up.
It could be that way. These two guys are holding out same pace. They're not putting up different numbers that I can see. Karen does have a slightly faster personal best lap, but it's such a minuscule difference to Aeronom that it's not really hurting him that much. It's the last lap that I'm really looking at.
That last lap, I mean, it's just very, very close. Even their best laps between the two are extremely close as well.
Yeah, 0.3 separating their last laps, and then their best lap is 0.04 of a second separating them. So they are on pace with each other. Definitely. And their last laps and recent laps are just about 0.4 separated from each other. But going by the timing screens, it does look like Aeronom is a bit slower than Karen. Just a bit.
It's one thing, though, I've always been saying this. One thing to catch Aeronom, it's another to pass him. Because the guy is just so good at defending. So even if Andrew Karen can get to the rear bumper of Aeronom, I just don't see him being able to get by Aeronom. But really, at this point in the season, I don't really think that Aeronom cares, to be fully honest, whether he gives up a position or not, because it really doesn't matter for him in the championship. He's got a nearly 15-point lead.
15-point lead is definitely something you do need to care about, especially if you're there. And there's pride in a driver, and if you just stop caring after a massive mistake while you were in the lead, something's wrong with you.
There certainly is that.
I can see if you stopped caring after having a very bad day, but after just one incident, nah.
I certainly agree. I think that, he needs to definitely continue on, but I wouldn't be surprised if we just see Aeronom settle for that position. I think that he's I just don't think that he's all that as much as he is definitely still pushing. I mean, he's down to 1.9 seconds, but I think if he lost a position to Andrew Karen, he wouldn't make any super irrational decisions as far as making super risky overtakes, knowing that he has that buffer in the championship, but he doesn't need to do it.
I think he's listening to you right now because he just pulled a second out of nowhere on Andrew Karen and closed in on William Laster. I think he senses you're doubting his skills.
I think that what Aeronom is doing is he's listening to the broadcast in the background, and he's like, well, now I've got to shut this guy up.
Watch this.
Now, if he could actually close up in 7 minutes to Caden Bien, that would probably be the most impressive drive I've seen from Aeronom. And this would be a race of first. But I believe the RSR Esports driver is pretty safe out in the lead at this point. But
yeah, with 8 minutes left in the race and about 5 seconds to Aeronom, Caden Bien is safe. And I believe there is a lapped car between Ben and Laster and Nom as well. That's the Mercedes, a big beat-up Mercedes right there. That's going to be very difficult for these guys to close in on. That is Brandon Whitworth,
who we just saw. I mean, Brandon Whitworth, we saw him have so many issues in today's race, having to spend a lot of time in the pit lane to get that car repaired. But he is back out there, though, and he is just trudging away, trying to get every little bit of championship points if he even can get them at this point. And just trying to finish out this race, at least ahead of the drivers who don't finish in the GTD field. So you can see the headlights getting flashed already from William Laster. He wants the DTD sports driver out of the way, and he does just that. So very good then from Brandon Whitworth just to move out of the way of the faster traffic and let them go through.
Yeah, he sees Aerodom right behind him, and he sees the just times that he's putting down right now. But Aerodom is just putting down a great pace right here. I think we're about to see a new personal best lap from Aerodom.
He certainly is putting on some pace. Let's ride on the roof cam here as we ride through Sunset Bend. You can see the car just moving around so much through Sunset. The gap now is down to 1.4 seconds. And let's see what that lap time was. It was 0.4 of a second better than William Laster. So Aeronom is really closing in on the F4H racing driver.
It's also better than Caden Bin as well. The only person that wasn't faster was Andrew Karen. But that was by 0.2 of a second. But Karen, that last lap that he put in, the lap before there, Karen's out of this. He cannot close in on Nom in this mode. I don't know what Aeronom calls this mode, aerodynamics or something. It works.
We've seen him be in a league of his own in races before, and he is really putting himself in a prime position here to at least get up into the second position. I don't think he's going to be able to take the lead at under 4 minutes to go. I think that pretty much right now, if Caden Bien can go mistake-free from the end of the race, I think Caden Bien has that position locked up here in this race. And what a race it will have been for Caden Bien. In the past, we've seen Aeronom just walk away from this field. And in this race, Caden Bien was able to keep him honest for the entire first section of the race and able to capitalize on Aeronom's mistake and move up a lot of time.
That was Andrew Karen and the laps car getting into a very spicy final corner heading onto the straight. Don't know if you saw that, but they almost came in side by side, and Karen had to go off into the grass, actually.
So almost a bit of contact then for them, and you can just see William Laster with these GTD cars out of the way. He is not having it here with these guys. He knows that Aeronom is coming close, and he knows he can't afford to lose any time to these GTD runners. But this is the question, will it block Aeronom? It cost him a little bit of time, but not much. So Aeronom able to slot in through. I think that only cost him about a 10th there. So really no harm, no foul for Aeronom. The GTD runner gets out of the way quite easily.
Nom has to close in 1.6 seconds to William Laster. Laster, he put in a time 800ths of a second faster than Aeronom.
He certainly did that time. Let's see whether William Laster will be able to hold off Aeronom time. We should be heading down to either white flag or 2 to go. I would assume we're going to get the white flag next time by, and it will be received by race leader Caden Bien.
As he's going through Le Mans, you can hear the tires just screaming for help through there. He's going to have that grip because he knows that when in the lead, he shouldn't try to push the car as hard as he can, especially with just 2 minutes remaining here at Sebring. And it will be 1 lap to go. And what a race he's had. What a start, I must say. He went from 3rd to 1st, and just right before the lights went out and Nom launched it, you could already see him squirming down to the inside and swinging around the outside, all the way to the very inside row, to the very outside row to get P1.
Supposedly there's been an incident here before David Payton, and this would explain why he's lost some time. But I think he's already had the incident at this point. I'm just trying to figure out exactly what happened to him. Another with David Payton. Let's see. Yeah, this would be the answer to our question, why David Payton lost so much time. He was right up on the back of Elvis Rankin, and then all of a sudden lost a lot of time.
Ooh.
Not seeing anything there, but nonetheless, though, we don't have a whole lot of time here. We need to jump back to live pictures. Caden Bien works his way around the final lap here, and he's got just a few more corners to go before he will take victory here in Sebring.
One last time through Le Mans. William Laster also following suit with Aero Nom right behind, with Andrew Karen following close as well. But all eyes are on the man who just had a great start. I would say probably one of the best starts I've ever seen on a rolling start. Caden Bien is going to take the win here at Sebring.
Caden Bien wins in Sebring. William Laster comes in home in second, and then it's Aero Nom and Andrew Karen who will be third and fourth respectively. Travis Schwenke, if he can survive through the final corner this time, will take victory there. And then it will be Ian Gagon Renault for F4H Racing, who will take a 1-2 result here tonight if they can just survive for a few more corners time. And what a result it will be for that team. Travis Schwenke rounds out your top 5. Elvis Rankin will come home in 6th, an impressive result for the young American. Then it's Ryan Reeves, and here we go. Your 2 GTD runners, 1-2 for F4H Racing. Then it is Loski Dioliosari, who will come home in 16th. Tyler Schiffler will round out your podium in GTD.
What a race we saw here today. Action throughout the field, massive storylines, a few major incidents. Great all-over racing by a few of these guys. I believe Brian Cartier is out of fuel.
So Brian Cartier loses 2 positions. They're right on the line and will just barely run it over the line on the fuel. Russ Ruddick, we're waiting on just a few more to finish up. But like you were saying, what a race we saw tonight.
That's from start to finish. There have been talking points, just crazy talking points. The start of the race, Caden Bien just jumping the start and absolutely nailing it down to get ahead of Aero Nom and getting in his head that, hey, I'm here too. You're going to have to deal with me right now. Then coming out of the pits, Aero Nom getting ahead of Caden Bien, and then a out of characteristic move we saw from Aero Nom, just turning the race at the lead over on its head right now. And we're just left speechless from that.
So we're having a little bit of issues here with our race results graphic. So we may just have to run through your race results. I'll actually get you to do that really quick, Austin, if you'll just quickly run through your final race results tonight.
Taking the win, it's going to be Caden Bien finishing in first. In second place, it's William Laster. Right behind him, finishing out the podium, is Aero Nom in P3. Taking P4 is Andrew Karen. For RSR Esports in P5, it's Travis Schwenke. For Excite Energy Absurdity Motorsports in P6, it's Elvis Rankin, followed up by Ryan Reeves, who right behind him, I believe, if I can find him on our timing screen, to be David Payton, who had a very weird end to his race. He was followed up by Robert R. Hartley. In 10th place, we got George Finke and Chris Thorman, who had a warning at the very start of this race. P12. P12 is Pascal Inanusi, who I don't really think got out on the track at all. No, he didn't. It's a very weird stat. Oh. I say if we could just go to the race graphic right now, let me roll through there, because I'm just going off the timing screens. Thank you. Right behind Thorne is Cartier, Ruddick, Sosa, and Jacobs, with Diolio finishing out in the GTE field. Renault takes the win, followed out by Cometti in the podium spot for the GTDs, with Shiflett in third, followed up by Violet, Wells, Overton, Holland, Whitworth, Dam, who finished in the GTLMs, who unfortunately had to retire one lap down, with Parker and Misler and Batter Jr., Schminelli, Wilson, Marshall, and Isanui at the very end of the field.
So that is all of your drivers there. Thank you for taking us through the final race results there, Austin. This is a wonderful race we saw here today, and we have your overall race winner, Caden Bien. Caden, welcome to the commentary booth. What a race from yourself. You were able to get a nice jump early, and you really just controlled the race from there.
Thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, that start, I don't even know what happened. I guess I just kind of got a great reaction time. My spotter, Brandon Wilson, who unfortunately couldn't race because he had tech issues, he told me that William wasn't there. I just decided to go for it around the outside, which obviously let me get ahead of Arrow. I knew that if I was ahead of him, I hopefully was able to stay ahead of him.
Well, you certainly did a good job indeed. And what was going through your mind when Arrow made a mistake? We know, you know as well as everyone else does, is that Arrow doesn't make mistakes often. So whenever you were able to pressure him into a mistake, was that almost a shock to you?
Yeah. I was just trying to make sure I did get ahead of him and made sure he didn't come around on track onto me. So, like, I was just being very cautious, but still, because I thought he was going to save it and then cut right back, but obviously he...
Well, definitely a nice race from yourself. There really wasn't a whole to your race. You pretty much just had a clean one from the start to finish, and you led for most of it. But who do you want to thank and who gets it done for you, that RSR Esports team?
Our main sponsors, Butt Kicker, Formula Hypersoft News, JL Race Designs, and our new one, Abruzzi Racewear. And my spotter, Brandon Wilson, of course, because he helped out a ton with pit strategy.
Well, congratulations again to yourself and the team for taking home victory in round number 7.
Thanks, guys.
So that was
I think it's time we bring in the GTD winner, Ian Geiger Renault, who had a very interesting start and just pulled it back through to take the win. Just 19 minutes into the race. There he is. Ian, how are you doing? What a very eventful race you had at the start of it, I must say.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised about that contact. I didn't have any pace for the rest of the race, but I guess I did have some left in the car to manage to win the race.
Yeah, it was very scary. We saw your car get airborne. We thought you had some damage because you were following down the field even after the incident happened. But 19 minutes after the race, you managed to work your way back up into the top of the field. So what happened?
Well, I think the guy behind me, like, I don't know if I braked earlier or later than I, but I didn't practice the start of the race, so maybe it was on me, maybe it was on him, but yeah. And after that, we got like a contact in, I think, turn 4, turn 3. Like, I think he didn't see me on the right, so I got pretty lucky there also, and managed to get myself back up into first.
Well, congrats on that race. Seemed pretty comfortable back out front. A few little scary incidents with lap traffic, but you were in a great fight throughout the rest of that race. Walk us through there.
Yeah, I think Tyler and both Tyler got pretty much a good pace, and yeah, they followed me pretty well through the race, and yeah, like I said, I managed to get the car home in first place, so it's pretty good on the championship. I think I got a pretty good lead, and yeah, I think if I get like fifth or fourth in the next race, I'm still gonna win this. So I'm pretty confident.
All right. Well, congratulations. Before we let you go, anyone you want to shout out?
Yeah, well, to I guess my new team for Ace Racing, to you guys for your streaming of this race, and also to the guy that are doing this series, Extreme Motorsport. It's pretty good series.
All right. Well, thank you. Hopefully you have a great race next time, and drop it in for a clinching of the championship.
Yeah, thank you, man. Have a nice night.
You too. That was Mr. Ian Gagon Renault, and we also have Tyler Gilmetti, and I believe Tyler should talk to Tyler.
Tyler, what a race from yourself. It was a 1-2 for you and the team. Talk us through that race from just start to finish, because it was a very action-packed race from you guys.
Yeah, that was a wild one. I got to say, first I've got to give it up to Ian. Another win, another 1-2 for the team. But that race was tough with the GT traffic kind of getting mixed in there. Tyler Shiflett, he's a hell of a racer. It was really fun. Definitely the most memorable of the season for me.
Yeah, well, it was certainly a good result from you. Kind of talk us through that start, because I know a lot of drivers really got mixed up on that start. Everyone really got shuffled around, and I think you were shuffled pretty much to the very head of the field, and obviously you're able to stay up there and maintain that. But just kind of talk us through that start.
Yeah, coming to the start, got a little crazy. The Mercedes have really good acceleration, so I kind of got swamped. I know we were 3 wide going through one, so just tried to stay clean and not loop the car through there. I know Ian took a hit going into one from driver behind him, and somehow we all made it out.
Well, certainly an action-packed start, but nice result again from yourself. Second place and a 1-2 for the team. Who gets it done for you in that F4 team?
There's no one individual. It's a team effort. Got to thank that for you guys for bringing me on this season. It's been really good running with them so far. See what brings in the future.
Well, congratulations again on second place, and congratulations on 1-2 for the team. We look forward to speaking with you next time out.
Thanks, Tyler.
And that is it for your interviews tonight. I mean, what a race we had, Austin, here. This was your first introduction to the Ricmotech series, and I think it was a pretty good one.
Yeah, I believe it was too. You've been saying throughout the season that we were just destined to be commentating together on this series. There was a moment where I was kind of on the edge of coming to there tonight. That was when Marco was stepping in with y'all, but yeah, it's certainly a great round to hop in and warm up the seat a little bit. And
certainly is indeed. I mean, what a place to be doing that. And that, I mean, this was an amazing race. We saw action all the way through. I mean, really, I don't think that there was not one point in the race where there wasn't somewhere where there was a battle. And next time out, for the final round of the season, we will see these cars race for one final time in 2019. Next week, though, we head back to Sports Car Series Racing for the finale over there. You can see the schedule up on the side. We go to Daytona Road Course for a 90-minute race next week, and then we'll cap off the week before Christmas on the 16th of December. And we will take on 90-minute race at Road America for the season finale. So 2 season finales for the Ricmotech series happening within 2 weeks of each other. So you certainly won't want to miss it. Be sure to tune in live next week at 8 p.m. Eastern Time here on Apex Racing TV, and be sure to not miss a single moment of the action. From all of us here at Apex Racing TV, from myself, Tyler Maxon, and from Austin Knight, we'll see you next time.